Hey, everybody. Happy Monday. I can't believe it's another week. We are already a month and a half into this quarter or into this year. It just blows my mind. So we're halfway through the quarter, which I know that everybody doesn't live their lives by quarters, but I do. And so it's like, oh my gosh, how are we already halfway through? This is insane. So I am feeling the excitement and the pressure because I need to be 100% writing. I have all of my note cards for The Witch's Door are set up. Some of them are filled out, but I have not made it through the plot of the entire novel. So my goal right now is to finish and figure out how this book ends, because I'm definitely struggling with the ending here, which is normal, and it will certainly change as I'm writing anyway. But I'll be working on this all week, and I'm probably going to be filming a little vlog type style thing if you guys are interested in seeing that, of me setting up my plotting wall for this book and starting to get writing. And this weekend in my Word Sprints group, we're having a virtual writing retreat. So I'm hoping that I can get a really good amount of words in this weekend. And if I can, then next Friday, we will start reading for sure. So it's going to be so much fun. So I will definitely keep you guys updated. So the hope is today and Wednesday, we will discuss tarot cards. We've already talked about this, of course, in the past for sure. So we're going to go into a few different things. I'm going to actually take you through one of my readings that I did for the new moon. And we're going to talk about like different types of spreads that you can do, especially if you want to get started with really learning the cards. But if you have not been here before for some of our other tarot discussions, you might find that you want to go back and watch some of those. So I didn't include a link in the description, but you might want to do that. And we can find links for you. So just let me know in the comments if you want to get in on some of those old tarot discussions that we had. There also is a video here from a little over a year ago where I was setting up my like witchy bullet journal. And in that, I kind of show some of the ways that I use my journals for tarot. And I'm going to show you some of my sort of new and updated things. So that's going to be really fun. And we are going to talk about tarot today and Wednesday. Friday, we'll have just a normal coffee chat, but if you have more questions about tarot stuff that I can help out with or that we can just chat about, then we can definitely go through more of that on Friday. Next week, on Monday and Wednesday, as it stands, the plan so far is that Monday, we will go through some recap of like sort of like last time on the Witch's Key type stuff. And we'll do that both Monday and Wednesday with kind of a little pre-party Monday, Wednesday. And then on Friday, we will start with episode 1. And it will probably be a cliffhanger-y kind of hooky beginning, but that's to be expected. And then after that, we'll start reading. So the following week would be episodes 2, 3, and 4, and then 5, 6, and 7. And we'll just keep going until it's done. At this point, I don't know exactly how many episodes there will be. I'm assuming that it will be similar to the last book, which was like 22 episodes with the epilogue. So we're assuming it'll be about that. So it'll go all the way through February, all the way through March, and probably the early part of April. So we will just kind of keep our eye on it. And of course, during that part of March and April, I will be writing and working on Vengeful Darkness, which is book 11 in my Shadow Demon saga. So I will also be, as we go, keeping up with you guys there. So in terms of the readings, I would definitely have a plan to try to get into the reading of the story as quickly as possible, like 5 minutes in, because last time we started that way, and it's funny because the beginning of the reading started with only like 30-minute lives, and then we have made our way to an hour, and now we're like an hour and 10 minutes. It's all good, right? So next week we're going to try to keep it to an hour, but to try to run the episode as early in the beginning so that people that are just there for the reading can get into it. Now, I always do, if you're going back right now and you're listening to The Witch's Key because you didn't read it before, I always put in the very first pinned comment a timestamp to where the reading began. And sometimes it's at 6 minutes, sometimes it's at 20 minutes, but that's where the story begins. So if you just want to make your way through only the story parts, you can click on that timestamp and it will fast forward you straight to where I start reading. So we're going to try to jump right into the readings at that point, and then we will move to like more coffee chat kind of questions and hanging out after the reading is done each time. So all right. Tarot. I saw some things going by a little bit here. So I saw that, I think it was Jenna asked, when will the new cover of The Witch's Key be available? So The Witch's Key, the new cover for The Witch's Key should go up actually next week, because I wanted to have the new cover up by the time I start reading the book. And I definitely want the new cover up before I put the next book up for pre-order. And I am planning still, hopefully, to have it up on pre-order. If Amazon does not let me put it up for pre-order, like they don't give me my privileges back, it will still go up everywhere else. So I will keep you guys updated on that, but I'm not going to put it up until we start the readings. And so I will let you guys know, but hopefully by next Friday. So is The Awakening by Nora Roberts on your TBR? It's not exactly on my TBR. I'm aware of the book, but I feel like I have like a year worth of books or more to read right now. And so I've been kind of not keeping track of anything new. But if you enjoyed it, Carol, let me know for sure, and I will definitely check it out, because I have definitely seen it for sure. I'm listening to The Awakening right now, and it's so good. Just got to chapter 19. Oh, you think of me every time you listen to it. Okay, well, I'm going to definitely check it out then. Yes, Ren, I'm here. All right, so let's talk about it. We are going to get into some tarot talk. So again, I'm not going to really go over today like there are 78 cards in the deck and there's this many major and this many minor, because we've already done that on this channel. So like I said, if you missed that conversation and you really would like to, talk about those kind of things or hear what I have to say about them, definitely go and check out those previous lives. They should be called something about tarot, et cetera, et cetera. So Heidi, welcome. I got to finally catch you live again, Tarot Talk, and I just finished the Beautiful Demons live reading. Yay, it is a good day. It definitely is a good day. Just in other news before we get on to tarot, I am hoping actually to, yay, hi Rana, I'm glad it worked. I am hoping to actually go through and be reading The Witch's Key also for audiobook. That will be the first audiobook I record. So we're going to see how it goes. If it turns out terrible, then I won't publish it. Maybe I'll just give it to some people and see what you guys think. But I will definitely be looking for some beta listeners for that book. So if you're interested in that, I will do like an application kind of form. And that will be not only for betas, but also kind of for ARCs. So if you're interested in listening to that, kind of stay tuned, because I will definitely need not only beta listeners, but also maybe some people that are willing to have the book in front of them and listen while you're reading to make sure I don't like mess up any words or like skip any sections and stuff like that. I would definitely appreciate that time if anybody has time. Oh, I definitely see some people saying they would love to listen. So I would appreciate that. I will definitely keep you guys in mind, and it should be really fun, but I'm just a little bit nervous about it. So we'll see how it goes. Okay, so tarot. So getting started with tarot cards. Oh, before we do it, I've added these little slides here. This is how my sort of new manifesting sort of spread came out that I was showing you guys. I had been working on this in my Good Notes app on my iPad, and I did cover up this one right here in that second section that has the little black box over it, because that has the disappearance of Vanessa Shaw, which I have not shown you guys the cover for that fully. So it's covering it up just so you can't fully see it. But I am hoping to find time to write that book this year. It's kind of on my my wish list and manifesting list. So the first one is more of my, like, this is the kind of stuff that I really want to manifest, the like more travel when we're able to. There's a little picture in the tiny middle there that is our house that's being built. I would love to get a new car. I would love a Jeep. We are also considering getting a Tesla, but I don't know if that's going to be in the budget just yet. But we are thinking about like how we're going to decorate the house, things that we're going to do, eating nice and all of that stuff. And then the second one is more my career type thing. So I've got some of the book covers of the things I'm doing, a Comic-Con panel, some outfits like that kind of inspire me, and some more like traveling for my career. And some gaming down there at the bottom. I've also got specific numbers there. This, of course, goes back to last week's topic on manifesting, but I just thought I would update and show you that. But I have, like, I would love to hit 8,000 subscribers here on this YouTube channel this year. Would be awesome. That might be pie in the sky goal, but you never know. And then I would love to hit 50,000 subscribers on my Heart Breathings channel, which I feel like is probably going to happen. I feel very confident about that one. This channel, though, I don't know how fast we're growing to kind of get there. But yeah, GoodNotes actually works well for it. The trick about GoodNotes is you can like freehand sort of crop things out and stuff like that. But whatever the most recent photo that you put in becomes the like top photo. So if you want to rearrange them, you have to like copy the photo and then delete it and then paste it back in, and then it becomes on the top. So you can't like do layers the way you do in Canva, or like bring things to the front the way you can in other types of photo editing stuff. But it's very simple and I really like it. All you have to do is like save photos to your photo roll and just copy and paste them in, cut them out the way you want, and then move them around. And it just makes it super simple. Then you can just save it as a PDF or a PNG and put them in. But these are my like brand new vision boards. So just to kind of show you, and now I have to cover this up again. But I printed them out in A5 size as well. And I'm going to be laminating them and putting them in my planner. So this kind of becomes a anchor or something that helps me manifest it because I see it all the time. So just something kind of cool. So this is GoodNotes on my iPad, and I could use Canva for this. You could use Canva just as easily for this, but I use GoodNotes on my iPad so that I can do this in bed. That is the sole reason. But anyway, I thought I would share that with you guys. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about tarot spreads. So this is, I'm going to kind of show you some ways that you can find tarot spreads, but we are going to actually, before I make that like such a big thing, we're going to just kind of talk about this. So tarot is not like, sometimes people say tarot is for telling the future, and you see it like fortune tellers in movies and stuff like that. And although some people do see tarot as a divination tool that is going to help you tell what is going to happen in the future, the way that I feel about tarot and the way that I see tarot is that it's really a tool for harnessing your own intuition. It's a way to go deeper into yourself. It's like a self-help tool or a personal development tool, more so. Oh, it's at 111. That is so good. Those are good numbers. It's more like a personal development tool. And it's really something that can be super powerful. So even if you don't believe, like, I think that for many years, tarot had this kind of negative connotation to it, or negative belief to it, that people believed it was too witchy, or it was related to the devil, or, it was like against the church or against God or anything like that. And I really do not believe that at all. And I'm definitely not putting down anyone else's beliefs, because if you are Christian and you don't believe in using a tool like the tarot because you don't feel it aligns with your religion and beliefs, I have no problem with that. That is completely your deal. You are allowed to believe whatever you would like to believe. But I would like to encourage you to keep an open mind when it comes to tarot, because this is in some ways very similar to opening up a book about how you can be a better person, or how you can let go of the past and forgive people, or just anything that you can think of that would be personal development, even productivity, or how to be a better writer. All of those things can go into your like tarot practice. You can learn more about your business. You can learn more about yourself as a writer or as a mom. You can learn more about what's really holding you back and why you self-sabotage or why you're going through depression. You can find out, is this really the best relationship for me? Should I buy this house? And it's not always because the tarot cards are telling you the future, like this is going to be the best house for you because the tarot cards said it was. It's a way of, because, these cards, they have numbers and different things associated with them, but they're very rarely like a yes or no. It's not like you're pulling a card that says, yes, buy this house and you should pay exactly this amount for it. In order to read the cards, you have to tap into your own intuition, which means kind of letting go of your logical mind for a little bit and opening things up to a deeper part of the universe and a deeper part of yourself, because it's very much this way of sort of digging in deeper to your own intuition and your own truth. Because I feel like, especially when it comes to fear and asking questions about who we are and how we want to show up in the world, we will often choose, like when we're thinking about it, we choose what seems like the best answer according to the world we live in. So if you say, should I buy this house? A lot of times, if you start thinking about it without a tool, you might say, oh, this is completely impractical. I shouldn't buy this house. It's way too expensive. I should be more conservative. And you start to make decisions out of fear and, what other people think. Oh my gosh, that's not the neighborhood my mom wanted me to move into. I really should stay closer to the beach, or I should do this, or I should do that. But when you use a tool like tarot cards, that each card has its own nuances and definitions and everything like that, you really tap into this deeper part of yourself, this really true part of yourself that sort of makes you look past the logical brain and into a more true, deep soul connection with yourself, where you say, you know what, it's not about the price of the house. It's really about what's holding me back is this fear that I'm not worthy of that house. Okay, so how do I get over that? What tools are available to me? You draw a card and the tarot says to you, you know what, lean on your friends, because your friends are going to be there for you and they're going to believe in you and they're going to help you get past this fear of not being worthy, or turn to a mentor and things like that. So the cards will guide you. They're more of a guide and a tool than they are of like, the typical thing you see about like a fortune teller who reads the cards and is like, you will have a baby who is, the queen of this or whatever, or you're going to die before you fall in love. I mean, that kind of stuff is not, it's more of like a caricature of what tarot is. The truth is, it's like a true connection to your soul. And the more you learn about the cards, the more you start to have a personal relationship with those cards. And it's almost sometimes for me, after years of doing it, and I do see a couple questions, so I'm going to address that in a second. For me, after years, sometimes I'll be like, so sometimes one of the cards for me that does this is the star. So the star card is all about, obviously, as you can imagine, like shining and being your best self and like putting yourself out there and stuff like that. And it has a personal meaning to me because when I started to understand that my mother and I had this narcissistic relationship, that she held me back from shining. It's like I was allowed to succeed and actually encouraged to succeed. But if I succeeded a little bit too much, she had to push me back down. And so I learned not to let my true light shine. Also, after I had been through, like we talked so much about all the different things I had been through in my life, like the fires and everything else. And I had this one very clear moment in my life where I saw someone I hadn't seen in years. And this was kind of a pivotal part of that whole thing when I got divorced and I met George and I changed my life. I saw someone who was a friend of mine that I hadn't seen in years. And she just said, gosh, it's really good to see you, but what happened? It's like the light in your eyes just turned off. And I felt that so deeply, which I know sounds like a mean thing to say, but it was important that she said that and she was honest about it, because I felt that, but I didn't realize how much other people could see that about me. That she's like, you always had a light in your eyes and it's just gone. And it was like, okay, it's up to me to relight that. And so when I see the star card, which is part of the major arcana of the tarot, that has a personal meaning for me, because it means let your light shine. Don't let anybody dim that light. Don't listen to that negative voice in your head that says you're not worthy, you can't do this. Instead, allow yourself to step into this bigger vision. And so for me, it has that personal meaning, but no book is going to tell you that personal meaning, right? That is going to be something that you develop for yourself over time. So part of what we're going to talk about today is, how do you get to that point where you begin to have a personal relationship with the cards? Is there anything special you have to do? How do you get started? All of that. And Mason had asked, what got you into tarot? So I was actually interested in tarot for quite a long time, because I grew up as someone who was naturally curious about witchy type of things. Like, I always loved rocks and crystals. I always loved Ouija board stuff. I always loved ghost stories. I loved herbs and stuff about potions. So I was always really attracted to those types of things in movies and books and things like that. And so I wanted to learn, but it was sort of the kind of thing in small town Georgia when I was growing up that was very not allowed. It was like, you can't do this, or at least you can't talk about it. Now, we could do Ouija board stuff like at slumber parties if it was kind of like a joke, but really getting into things like this that some people would consider a cult or whatever was very much frowned upon. So I didn't really pursue it until I was living in an apartment in Nashville after I had graduated from graduate school. So I was like 24 probably at the time. And I was going through all those things we talked about last week, married to an abusive husband, waiting tables, kind of off plan for what I had intended for my life, and really looking for more meaning. And I had an upstairs neighbor who was very witchy. He was really into tarot. He and his wife both, but him in particular. And he gifted me a tarot deck and told me a few things, and he did a few readings for me. And that for me was like, this is a really cool tool. But it also kind of scared me, and I felt overwhelmed at the beginning, because even though I had a deck, every time I would pull these cards, I would be like, I don't know what this means. What is it supposed to mean? I also feel like my perfectionism got in the way, because I was like, if I can't tell the exact meaning and I don't have these memorized, then I'm not qualified. You have to be someone special to read these cards. So I put them in a box and I kind of left them there for years because of my own fear. And then a few years down the road, I was probably at like a Barnes and Noble bookstore and saw them there and like a bunch of cards. And I thought, you know what, I really, really do want to learn, but I didn't love that previous deck that was gifted to me. Let me try to find a better deck that would be fun for me. So I found something that was called like Simple Tarot Reading or something. So it was like a book that came with set of tarot cards that was supposed to walk you through and I wish I could remember what it is now, but I think I gifted it to someone else. But it was basically a book that would tell you for each card, it would tell you if it's in this position in the reading. And it specifically was talking about like the Celtic Cross. If it's in this position, this is what it means in this position. And I felt like that kind of handheld me a little bit more. And so what I started doing at that point was reading for friends. Like, okay, well, let me just for fun, like see if I can bring any kind of, like, I know I can do it for myself, but can I help you discover something about yourself by showing you what I'm interpreting in these cards? And that was so very fun to me, because it was like really tapping into my own intuition, but not just about me, but about other person, someone else's life. And sometimes it felt like really and truly tapping into some current of knowledge that I don't even know where it came from. And it feels similar to that when I'm writing, that I'm tapping into something that doesn't fully belong to me, like some kind of collective consciousness or I don't know what, but I felt that a lot of times when I would be reading tarot. And I just loved that feeling of I'm connected to something bigger than myself here. And I love that, being able to interpret in that way. it's almost like therapy in a strange way. And so I really got into that and did that for several years. And then when I started going through all of the sort of awakening stuff that I was talking about with Tanya, and kind of separating myself from my family and standing up for myself in those ways. She was not only a life coach, but she also was a tarot specialist. And so I started taking private tarot lessons with Tanya, and she really taught me so much more. And that's when I started a true daily practice of tarot. So one of the things we're going to talk about today is how to start that if you're interested. So thank you for that question very much. Dun, 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 dun. Laura said, I'm so different. I have my dad's cards, one my grand gave him 6 days before I was born. I feel connected to that basic Rider-Waite deck in a huge way. That is very cool. All right. So if you are interested in getting started with tarot, obviously the first thing you need to do is get a deck. But even that you don't have to do just to get started, because guess what? We live in a digital world, which means you can actually go onto your phone and you can download, just search either in the Apple Store or in the Android Store, whichever phone you have, search for Tarot app. And a lot of times you can find apps that there are several apps out there that you can just click on it and it will do a daily tarot draw for you. And so it'll draw a card and then it'll tell you what that card means for the day. And that is a really good way just to casually, 5 minutes a morning, sit there and read a little bit about that card. And you don't have to memorize it. You just say, oh, that's really interesting. And then you'll start to notice, oh, that card came up again tomorrow. And 2 weeks from now, I see that card again. And then you'll start to understand that when you see that card, it means something in particular, like, oh, that card means that I'm, going to be releasing this thing and moving into a new stage of my life. Or this card means that I might have some new ideas that I need to explore. And so there can be all kinds of fun things that come up. And of course, you're not going to probably get as personal of a relationship with your cards if you're using an app. But if you're interested in starting and you're just not sure you want to invest in a deck, that can be a really cool way to start. Another cool way to start once you get a deck, and we're going to talk about some of my favorite decks coming up, is, Jay Brown says Galaxy Tarot app is one, which is a cool one. So, but there's lots, go check them out for sure. So another thing that you can do is you can start just daily doing a 3-card spread. And this can be something that's really easy, something that's really low key. Don't have to put like tons of time into it. Just one single card, or even if you want to learn faster, do a 3-card spread and start to learn relationships between cards. Now, I didn't put a link to this in the description box, but Timoana from our community had gotten me this tarot journal. It's just from Amazon, so I can find a link for you guys. And it has, let me pull this right here. It has 3-card spreads here. And the whole book is just like this: date, time, and deck, and then the question you asked, and then card 1, 2, and 3, and then your interpretation. You can also find printable things similar to this on Etsy, or you can just grab any notebook that you have and just draw your own little 3-card spread here. And this is a great way if you wanted to just get started. When I first started going with tarot and trying to have a daily practice, I drew 3 cards every single night before bed. And for me, bedtime is easier because I have kids. And so it's kind of a hard thing to always do it in the morning, especially now that I have a baby, because having that morning routine is a little bit tougher. But if you're looking for the 3-card spreads or something to kind of guide you, there are lots of ideas. So all you have to do is Google 3-card spreads. But I pulled this up because this is one of my favorite resources, is Biddy Tarot. She has a great Instagram account and she has an amazing website. So instead of going out and buying a bunch of books about tarot, you can just use the resources online. But in the end, it's going to be about the online resources, the books that come with your deck, some of which are better than others. And it's going to be about your own personal intuition about a card. So one of the ways that you can challenge yourself as you start to get to know the cards is before you look at somebody else's definition of what a card means, really look at the card and say, what are the images that I'm seeing? How do they make me feel? What kind of symbolism can I see in them? And for this reason, there are certain kinds of decks that I recommend you start with over others, but we'll talk about that in a minute. But here's some examples that Biddy Tarot had on her Instagram. So you could do a 3-card spread, just 1, 2, 3. You, the other person, and the relationship. So if you wanted to be these are ones specifically for love, because this was obviously coming up for Valentine's Day. So you could do readings about you and that person, and then what your relationship is going to be like. So should I date this guy? How are things going with my husband? All of those kind of things. Another example spread would be what you want from the relationship, what they want from the relationship, and where it's heading. What brings you together, what pulls you apart, what needs your attention. So you see that you can really turn a 3-card spread into anything. You just can decide it for yourself, what you want that 3-card spread to be. Another example, actually, where did it go? This is the one I wanted to, I kind of had these in the wrong order. Another idea for beginning a daily practice is to go mind, body, spirit. So every morning when you get up, you could draw 3 cards. And one is for what state of mind are you in today? What's going on with your body? So how does your body feel? And then what's going on with your spirit? So you could do mind, body, spirit. Another thing that you could do is past, present, future. And this is a pretty common spread that people do when they do 3 cards. Past, present, future is always a difficult spread for me. I don't know why, but it just never clicks for me, but it might click for you. But like kind of if you're thinking about a certain situation, about your job or how this book is going or how this relationship is going, what's past, present, future for you? And just draw 3 cards, and each card represents one of those things. Another example of a 3-card spread that is used a lot is, what do I need to release? What do I need to draw in? And what's my guidance of what I do next about this thing? So if you realize something that you're sabotaging, or you're just not feeling well, you're going through some depression, or you're not sure why you're unhappy about something or why it doesn't feel good to you right now, what do I need to let go of? What do I need to draw closer? And where can I look for guidance? Or what can you tell me that will help guide me in this situation? And that one I do connect with. I really like that particular reading for 3 cards. And when I do a 3-card spread, this is the one I usually am doing. What do I need to let go of? What do I need to bring into my life? And what kind of guidance do you have for me today? And you don't have to, if you want to draw 3 cards, you don't even have to say mind, body, spirit, or anything like that. You can just draw 3 cards and see what they tell you. So a lot of times when I was doing this at night, I would say, just give me guidance. What message do I need to hear? And I wouldn't ask anything in particular. And basically the thing to remember about getting started with tarot is that you can't really make a mistake. Like, you're not going to do anything wrong. You just are interpreting the cards. The only thing you could do that would be wrong is if you were like, just starting out with tarot and you said, should I spend all my money on Bitcoin or something, and you said, well, the cards told me to, and you just went and like well, even then, $10,000 into Bitcoin might be the best thing you ever did. If only we had done that years ago, right? But it's just like, maybe you can take action from it. But as you learn, you might not want to like quit your job just because the first day the cards seemed to tell you to quit your job. But you want to get to know the cards. You want to get to know your own relationship with them. So I think it's just important to let go of any type of perfectionism of like, I have to get this definition just right, and I have to understand everything the cards are telling me. And in truth, sometimes the cards are spot on and I totally understand. Yes, you're right. This is why I'm holding myself back. And sometimes I draw cards and I'm like, I have no idea what this is saying to me. So I just journal about it and move on, right? So I think that you just continue to work on those types of things. But I mentioned the 3-card draw because for me, as a daily practice, something like I see like Celtic Cross, some people are mentioning that, and we are going to go into what that is. Celtic Cross takes too long. It's too many cards. You have to sit down and you have to spend at least 30 to 45 minutes, if not an hour, really going through those cards and the relationship they have to each other. And for me, that is way too long. But 3-card spread, you can do it in 5 minutes. You can just sit down, draw those 3 cards. And when it comes to actually drawing the cards, so I'm just going to go over this real quick too. So when it comes to drawing the cards, you have your 78 card tarot deck. You can see mine are well used. So they're kind of, curved, I guess, but you can just shuffle them the way that you do playing cards, right? So you can easily just shuffle them the way you do playing cards. And then if you want, you can just draw the top card. If you want, you can shuffle them kind of like towards your body like this, and any card that seems to like pop out of the deck or stand out is the card you might want to pick. Or you can cut the cards and then pick one from the top, one from the bottom. You can literally do whatever you want. There is no like, you have to do it this way and it's a ritual. And if you get it wrong, the magic won't work. So let go of all of that stuff of thinking that you have to do it such a way and you're doing it wrong. Instead, literally, this is all about your intuition and what you feel. So just have fun with it. Let go of any worry of getting it wrong. And you can just fan them out and go, what card stands out to me? Okay, this one really stood out as I was doing it. So this is the card, the King of Wands. And just start to look at those images and say, what does this mean to me? And I saw Debbie, I would never laugh at you about that. Should you cleanse or bless your cards before using them for the first time? I think it's a good idea to just cleanse them. If you want to purify them, you can use something like Palo Santo. If you just want to cleanse them, then you can just use sage if you want, or any kind of smoke. Like I said, you can use the peel of a garlic. I almost said a garlic knot, which is more like Italian bread from a pizza place or whatever. Don't burn a garlic knot. Burn, like the skin of a garlic. Just, you can take that and you can burn it. You can use sage or any other kind of herb, like a bay leaf or something like that. If you have nothing else, you could also use like incense, or anything like that. I know garlic. I was like, don't garlic knot. But yeah, I would recommend doing it. So if you are just using it, don't like, I love this, is like tasty. Now y'all need garlic knots tonight. But it's fine. Like, don't be like, oh my gosh, I really messed up and I've brought bad juju into my life. It's all about your own like intention with the cards. But especially if you're not connecting with the deck, or you just feel like you're not reading it right, something that I would recommend doing is when you first get a deck, just go through, shuffle them a lot, look through, if you have the time, really look through each image and see if you connect with a certain image, just kind of get familiar with them. And then you can do that little ritual where you can put a little bit of smoke on them. Like I would take sage usually and just go like around it 3 times. Sometimes I will like kind of pray on my cards or like hold them in my hand and just really think good thoughts. What some people believe is just that which cards pop up, right? When you're doing your reading and you're asking questions, which card pops up is really sort of magically related to your own energy. And so this is the part of yes, it's your intuition, but this is the part that seems a little bit more like witchy or like, I don't know, energy based, is just that when it comes to your intuition and your connection with these cards, if you ask a question, the reason a card comes to you is because you've got your energy in these cards. And if someone else is doing a reading for you, their energy is in there and their intention as their mind when they're drawing that card is on you, So if you want to be a good tarot reader for someone else, you would have your mind clear and be thinking of their question and be thinking of serving them when you're reading those cards. But if you're sitting there and you want to be a good reader and you're just like randomly picking cards and just thinking about, garlic bread, you might not be as tapping into the energy of the cards as if you were sitting there thinking, okay, what is going on with this relationship with her husband? What's going on with this relationship? Please guide me to this thought of relationship. And this is something that I know some people will feel like is crazy. But for me, I do feel like this is a true part of really getting connected with your tarot deck, because and this comes from pure experience, that when I have a question sometimes, particularly when I'm going through those things like self-doubt, is this ever going to be my life? Am I ever going to be able to, get past these blocks and things like that? And I will shuffle the cards. And because I've got my energy and I'm focused so clearly on that question, it's just amazing sometimes how I'll do like this and a card will just fly out of the deck. And then guess what? It's the Star again. And I know that that was a message meant for me. And it's similar to that idea of manifestation and attracting certain things into your life. I just truly feel with a passion for myself that it is that energy and intention that causes certain cards to jump out of this deck or to catch my eye because of that energy. So when you don't cleanse the deck and really touch each card and think through it, you might have other people's energy on it. The person that made the cards, if it was gifted to you, maybe it was gifted several times, and that energy is on it. And you don't know what those people's intention were. Maybe somebody was using it and they were just like playing around with it and saying the cards were stupid. Well, you don't really want that energy into it. So just use some smoke, some sage, something like that. You can also take a crystal that has, like, if you really want to say like love or whatever, you could take a like a rose quartz and put it on top. And you could even charge this in the window during a full moon. So it has that kind of full moon energy to it. But there's lots of different ways that you can really sort of honor your decks in that way. Some people also believe that if you have, like you keep drawing the same cards over and over again, something about the energy is stuck. So you can actually knock 3 times on the cards to kind of snap that energy out of it and then shuffle them again. So if you just find that you're getting like the King of Wands every single day, maybe the energy is stuck and you need to bring some new flow into it. So it's really fun. So I would definitely recommend doing that, blessing the cards or thinking through them. Some people also will sleep with them under their pillow when they first get them to put that sort of dream energy and like have them close to you. It's kind of up to you how you want to do that. When it comes to choosing which deck you most want to use, I would definitely recommend, I think this is the next slide. I would definitely recommend kind of taking a look at the deck. So if you see a deck that somebody else was using, like you can go on to Instagram and there's tons of hashtags, or on Pinterest and there's tons of examples of decks there that you can go in and you can say, what are some beautiful decks? Let me look at some images or whatever, and really look at the images before you purchase the deck, unless you just see it and you say, that's the one I have to have. And see if the images are something that you feel like have some connection to you, or you like the colors, or you like the symbolism in it and it connects to you. But you really want, in my opinion, when you're first starting out, you want cards that have really clear images on them. You don't just want a card that has, like, I think I had mentioned this before with the Kawaii Tarot. I like the Kawaii Tarot. It's super cute, but it's literally will just be like 4 peppermint sticks. And that is not going to tell me anything about what that card means when I'm trying to actually look at the symbolism. Whereas if you see here in this, you've got the Magician on that Rider-Waite card, and he's got all these symbols. He's got an infinity above his head. He's got rose garlands, above and below him. He's holding up like a wand, and he's got robes, he's got all these things around him. There's a pentacle, there's a sword, there's a cup, and then he's holding a wand. So it's like you can see that he's got all his tools around him. But you could look at that image and have no idea what the Magician card means, but you could take the name, the Magician, and look at that symbolism, and you could begin to guess or intuit what you think that card means, because you'll start to notice the symbolism of it, of, okay, he's got all 4 of the tools, or all 4, like tools from all 4 of the minor arcana here, and he's got them on the table. He's using them. So this is a card that's all about manifestation and using the tools that are available, or you have all your tools right at your fingertips. So you could go ahead and start figuring out what that card means without actually having to read some kind of thing about the card. And for me, those are the most powerful types of cards. So for example, you've got, this is the Everyday Witch Tarot. This again has a lot of images on it. It's not just like a single image. This has a lot of symbolism in it, and a lot of time and care went into this drawing. So this is the Empress here, and she's with child. She's got this, scepter in her hand and a crown on her head. She's got the wind flowing around her. She looks very like kind of ethereal. She has lots of like fruits in the trees behind her. So you could see this and think, okay, this is lush and fertile. And she's very feminine and beautiful. And so this is a card that evokes some kind of feminine energy doesn't necessarily mean literally pregnancy, but it can mean new ideas, the birth of new ideas, lots of fertile ground, lots of new things coming into your life, lush, abundance and femininity. And whether you're a man or a woman, we all have feminine and masculine sides, right? So you would be able to look at this kind of card, right? So abundance and fertility or fruitfulness, right? Growth. And everybody could see something slightly different based on what you're currently going through in your life. But that's why I encourage you to choose a deck that has images on it like this, like people in some kind of landscape, or this is a good way to start. Whereas the Hermetic Tarot, which is one of my favorite ones personally, is still good. I love it. I personally have enjoyed it. But like, this is the Seven of Swords. And it does have a ton of symbolism to it. Sorry, my nails look so gross. It does have a ton of symbolism to it, but this is a little bit harder to interpret as someone who is just now starting to read tarot than a card that has like a person doing something or a landscape or, something like that. So for me, I would not recommend this as much as a beginner tarot deck, because it's like, what does this mean? And how do you tell? And then as you get to be more, as you have a relationship with tarot and you start to understand what these different things mean, then you can move on to more advanced decks or decks that don't have the symbolism on them. And other people may feel differently. Just connect with whatever deck you do connect with. But for me, I just highly encourage starting with decks that have people or landscapes or types of things that have a lot of symbols that you can really look at. So this image that you see here is just the traditional Rider-Waite tarot deck. This is like one of the most popular, most common. It's like $15 on Amazon. I have left a link for you down below if you want to go and look at it and grab it. But this is like the traditional set of cards. So the most common images that you'll see are these images, and a lot of other tarot decks will be based on this. So I did not get a Sanrio deck. There isn't actually a Sanrio deck. There's only a an old Sanrio deck that only has the major arcana, but they never made the minor arcana. And there's only reprints available unless someone has an original, in which case we should talk. One of my favorites, because for me, the Rider-Waite, I do like the Rider-Waite, but it's maybe just a bit too yellow for my taste. The yellow is kind of one of my least favorite colors, which ironically is my sister's favorite color. And it's not that there's not yellow in this one, but all of the yellow in this deck is golden foiled. So this is the Golden Universal deck, and this is truly one of my absolute favorites. I highly recommend it for beginners because, as you can see, see the box there, and you've got the magician with all of the things on the table and the wand. Look how similar that is to the Rider-Waite. So the Golden Universal Tarot is actually based on the Rider-Waite Tarot. So a lot of the images are similar or almost the same, but they're just kind of updated. And I just really think they're beautiful. And I highly have connected with this. So here's an example of the sun card, and you see the pretty foiling on it. I just really like it. So here's the back, has no foiling, but it's just kind of a pretty little design there. So here is the Now, one thing about this is it doesn't have like the word death on it. So this will help you get to know the cards too, because you'll have to be like, well, what does that mean? Is that the death card? Well, yeah, its horse is like trampling on people. So this is the death card, but it's like you get to know them as you start to work with them. And then like this has a 3 on it, and you can see that it has swords. You can see that pretty foiling there. But see how you've got so much, like you've got the heart with the swords through it. You've got the guy laying on the ground. You've got basically just tons of different things here that you could interpret for yourself. Or the Chariot, for example. These are all based on the Rider Waite, but they're just slightly different. So that is the Golden Universal. And for me, this deck really helped me learn tarot. So the next one is this Everyday Witch Tarot that I was just kind of showing you. This is another good one if you want something that's not quite so traditional, but also has really clear images that you can read. And I will say, I really think this one has a great box, like packaging to it. So just to kind of show you, it comes in this nice big box that has a magnetic closure on the side, and it has a pretty big guidebook that I feel like has some really good explanation. And it also has places in the guidebook for you to take notes for like your personal views of certain cards, especially the major arcana. And so here's kind of how it is. It tells you, it has the card, and then it has a little sort of explanation. Sometimes you just have to walk in another direction. So it puts it kind of in language that you would understand. And then the actual cards are inside the box. This is what the back of the cards looks like. And every card has a cat in it somewhere. So I just like that. It's like black cats in almost every card. But these are really cool. And I think that you guys, a lot of you who would like something a little bit less traditional might enjoy this one. I've got Evie over here too. We will continue this discussion on Wednesday too. So the Light Seers Tarot is another one that I have just recently gotten. And this is the one that I am connecting with and using every morning now. Do you want to come sit with me? Want to come grab everything off my desk? Yeah. She said, yeah. Yeah, you like those cards? So the Light Seers deck is more multicultural. It's also just a really beautiful deck. Like, I love the imagery in this deck. So that is another one that is really great. And all of these are about, $15 to $20. $25. She likes this little book. But one thing I like about the Light Seers deck, book, is that it has she wants to hold this. It has a little, you can see that sort of affirmation. I lean into my inner world of limitless miracles, surrendering to the divine will of the cosmos. So if you draw this card, it gives you an explanation of what it means upright and reversed. And it tells you a little type of, don't grab my tea. It gives you a little type of affirmation that goes along with it. So that is one that I would recommend. And then I thought I had one more here, but I don't. All right. So we'll kind of revisit that, but you can find links to all of those down below. And I really like those. She is just so crazy. But you can find lots of different ones. If you just go and go onto Pinterest and look for coffee. She's going to read a book. There are just some really beautiful ones to start with. I just highly recommend when you're choosing a deck, you choose something that you enjoy looking at. And I know that some people have asked questions about do you have to be gifted a deck? And you don't have to be gifted a deck. If you believe it, then that's fine. But from everything I have used, so many decks, I have bought them myself, and there's been no problem with buying them myself. And so you can totally choose the one you want and buy it for yourself. It can be a gift for yourself. And I have not used the Modern Witch, but that is the next one that is on my list. So it's on my wish list. So next time I buy a deck, that's the one I'm going to buy. So if you guys want to look up another one that I think is also pretty good with the images, from the images I've seen of it, it's really good, clear images that you should be able to. Oh, okay. So gifting is a Romani only tradition. You can buy your own. Okay. I did not know that that was a tradition. So yeah. So in some cultures, maybe she's eating my amethyst.
So
Why are you eating that? You can't eat it. So some cultures, it may be more appropriate or, follow your own traditions, but in other cultures, it is fine to buy your own. So just go with what you feel is best for you. And if you really want a deck and you believe that it should only be gifted, then, do some research and figure out how best to go about connecting with someone that will gift you a deck. But how do you know which one to use, or can you use a different deck every time? So I used, when I was first getting started with the day, stop eating that. When I was first getting started with the daily tarot draws, I used the same deck every day for months and months, because I felt like using the same deck was going to give me a lot more knowledge when it comes to using those same images and seeing them over and over again. And that repetition helped me to learn them more. She's going to get her energy all over my deck, which is totally fine. I'm not using that deck right now. You get used to those images, and then you start to, like I said, have a personal relationship with it, which is why I also recommend having a tarot journal. So we're going to go into depth with that, as well as some more spreads that you might enjoy using on Wednesday's chat. But I think, yeah, she does want to do tarot. She likes to listen, and Andrew actually likes to sit down with me too. And he likes to draw cards, and he'll draw and he'll say, is this a good card or a bad card? And that's something else to kind of think about, is there's not really any like good cards or bad cards. There are cards that have like more warning cards, or things that are kind of telling you things that you might not want to hear. Like there might be heartbreak, or you might be dealing with loss or whatever, but it's not like they're bad cards or good cards. And it's not like anything you read in the cards is like set in stone and this is your fate forever, like you're going to die in 10 days. That's not really how the cards work. But as you begin to get to know the cards, you will begin to have your own messages. And like I said, you'll begin to see a card and you'll begin to know, yes, this is telling me I do need to let go of that relationship. And in that way, it's not like a bad card. Now, one of the cards that people will say is like one of the worst scary cards to get in the deck is the Tower. So there's some people call it the Blasted Tower. Some people call it the Tower. Because the Tower, especially in the like traditional deck, is literally a tower with people that's on fire with people falling out of it. And so it usually means that like your life is in for some big adjustments. And sometimes those adjustments are going to be painful, like as if lightning has struck your world. And so a lot of people are scared of that card. But in the end, all of this stuff is growth. Everything you're going through, everything you're learning is taking you to a better place in your life, even if it's a painful transition. So don't be scared of any cards. And the Death card, actually, I always get excited to see, because it means that I'm finally letting go of a piece of me that no longer serves me. And I think that that is actually a really good thing. Even like the Judgment card, it means you're being rebirthed. You're taking on a new life, and I think that when you start to get to know the cards better, you won't be afraid of seeing anything, because there's nothing that's going to tell you something bad is coming into your life. And sometimes it will be a warning. And so if you get the Tower card and it's telling you, if you continue down this path, there are going to be some difficult changes coming up, that's not actually a bad thing to know. That is good, so you can prepare yourself for what's coming next. Kat says, I just got the Tower today. I thought it just meant that what I have tried before wasn't working and I need to try something else. Yeah. So if that's your intuition about it, it means what you believe it means, because that is the tool, is pulling out of you what that true meaning is. So, Yeah. So, and the tower sometimes can also mean, like for me, it has also meant you are through this transition and now you are breaking away from things that are no longer good for you, which can also mean, a tower card can also mean that of like breaking away from things that are bad. Yeah. And the devil card. So the devil card can often be about temptation. This month is the devil card for me. This is my card of the month from my reading with Tanya, is the devil card, but it doesn't mean the devil's coming after me. What it means is, like she said, the devil card for me is all about temptation, being tempted into old ways of thinking or being tempted to follow advice that doesn't really align with where I am in my life. So, once you begin to know and have that relationship with the cards, it becomes a lot easier. But once you pick that deck that you really like and you start to get familiar with it, you don't even have to go out and buy a ton of books. You don't even have to read what the book says. You can literally just read the image on the card and trust your own tuition that what you feel is true about this card is true. And you'll begin to have that relationship. Oh, you're going to tell them about the card? You want to show them? This is Evie's card. She drew the 8 of Cups. So what we will do on Wednesday is we are going to go through my new moon tarot reading just so I can show you an example of how I interpreted those cards. And we'll also go through just kind of a quicker or more in-depth look at my tarot journal. So what kinds of things do I write about my journal? When do I do certain spreads? Because there are times that I do the Celtic Cross spread, and I will show you what the Celtic Cross is because we've mentioned it a few times. So that'll be a fun continuation of this. Thank you guys so much for being here. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up if you enjoyed this conversation. There's so much more to say, and I hope that you guys enjoyed it. And yeah, Wednesday we'll cover all of those things. Friday, we will have another coffee chat where we can keep answering questions about tarot or about the books or about writing or whatever you guys want to talk about. And then on next week, we will start counting down to the witch's door, which will hopefully start on Friday. Worst case scenario, it'll start the following Monday. So I will let you guys know for sure after this weekend. But yeah, I am so excited to talk more about it. And we can go over to on Wednesday, we can kind of talk about the difference between reading the cards upright and reading them reversed, and whether you have to do it that way and you should do that way. And how do you figure out both of those meanings? We'll talk a little bit about that on Wednesday as well. So thank you guys so much for being here. I really appreciate it. I hope you had fun and I hope you have a great day. Lots of people getting snow, so please stay safe. Hopefully you will maintain your power and stay warm, and I will see you guys on Wednesday. I know Evie's getting into these cards here. This might be her deck right here. You want to say bye?
Bye.
Bye. Bye, you guys. We'll see you Wednesday.